Hi everyone, good afternoon, good evening, it's Damian here. You can't tell, you might not be able to tell this much with it being a black dress or whatever, but I've got the girls out again and I'm a little bit more happier being a bit feminine and wearing the girls, getting the girls out and that kind of thing. But yeah, I've got a few updates, some about good, some bad, some discussions about the new legalization with gender, and I just wanted to get some stuff off my chest. But yeah, I have basically been having some problems with trying to get some care back on track. They wanting to they wanted me to go back with the mental health services and that kind of thing, and I had an appointment the other week with the main society the week before. I was supposed to have an appointment with secondary services with the mental health, and I had a severe anxiety attack and I went for the meeting, needed an ambulance, went to see site liaison and get that out of my chest. So yeah, um however, during this period and I had 3 weeks of I had 3 telephone appointments, sorry, uh for a couple of months with the manager of uh, one of the autism charities. I believe it's called Maine. One of the management for the autism charities and that kind of thing called Maine. I'm not giving any people's names in case it gets upsetting or angry or whatever. I don't want that. So yeah, basically, Um, she wanted me to meet with her before she went on maternity leave, and she knew that there been communication needs and communication struggles in the past, and for various reasons. So she wanted to do it with me and the lady that's going to run it, or the lady that's going to be part of my team. Right. So I got all that sorted. I got the meeting sorted, feeling great. It's a little bit more of the path that I want to go down and the path of what I want to go down, and and the support was more inclined for what I want. So I'd rang the site liaison nurse later in the week that I'd spoke to at James Cook just to say that I've had I've got some news, good news. Well, I believed it was good news as well because I've got some care back on track and I felt great with it. So yeah, I'd explained that I was working with this organisation for autism and that kind of thing, but she was saying she felt that I could do with some more specialist support and more specialist support relating to the mental health, relating to certain things than what they could offer. So, knowing me, I worry. When I worry, I I email, and it's worse. It's worse when there's deadlines involved because it's worse when there's deadlines involved. I knew that was going to go and start this work with the team on Monday next week, and I'm like, I wanted to get it read and a decision made there and then. So I'd emailed about 34 people whose email addresses I got from the organisation because I believe that I believe that the more people that are reading it, the more chance that I've got of reading it. The communication therapist report uh, states that some of the behaviours in that with mental with mental health and with other areas. And with emailing, when I'm upset, my communication therapist report states that they'd had that as well. So they stated that because of the emailing and that, it stated that I needed more support with the mental health, and I'd email back and apologise, email back and say, asked them what was going on. I'd asked them for a decision for what was going on and a bit more reasoning, and they said that emailing wasn't helping the situation; it was just making me more distressed. And I'm like, I wasn't, I wasn't distressed. I was a little bit worried because of what was said to me from past experiences with with another organization. It's like um at the moment the way things are is that I want I want this. I want one thing with my care. My mum wants something else. My advocate wants something else. My doctor wants something else, and it's each person wants this decision out of me, and it's like, what do I want? If I go down this path, one person's going to be upset. If we go down this path, another person's going to be upset. So I'm trying to know what the best decision is to try to please everyone at the same time. But it's but the problem is that I've lost out. I've lost out because of it, and it's just a little bit up in the air. Things are up in the air, and things are up in the air, and they are up in the air really, and it's like left hand doesn't know what the right hand wants, and vice versa. So it's just a little bit con- contradicting and confusing. So there's all that. So there's all that, and I've been getting chest pain, abdominal pain, and a little bit more of this, a little bit more of that. My doctors are like, you need to cut down on this, you need to cut down on that. I had to go in today because I'd had a bit of an argument with my mum yesterday, and it was like chest pain, palpitations, woke up at 6:30 in the morning, and I'm like, I can't get back comfortable, I can't get back to sleep. So I made an emergency appointment with my doctor, with my personal doctor this time. Normally, if I have to see another doctor, I see another Dr. Hardy or whatever, but yeah, it's like I'm back there next week, so she's trying me on some medication and that. It's not really the medication that I feel like I need at the moment, but if it helps, it helps. It's just more. I know that I did really well. I did really well. I did really well of getting my license back, and I did really well getting my driving license back for the first 2.5 weeks from finding out that the doctor was going to support me. It was like going out, big massive grin on my face every time, and I'm like, nothing could knock my confidence back. Found out that they wanted me to go back for mental health care again. Confidence had dripped, and that the anxiety triggered in with that. So I'm looking at other options, other avenues, and other areas for support. I am, but yeah. So basically, there's supposed to be an MDT meeting tomorrow with secondary care services about what they can offer me, this, and this. However, I'd rang the paramedics yesterday. They came out because of the physical symptoms, ran the crisis team, and they were like, they can't see, they couldn't. The crisis team were like, they can't see, speak to me or whatever because there's an MDT taken, or an MDT in process, and they can't really do anything until they know what the MDT is. So it's a little bit confusing and contradictory. However, I do have other news, and I do have other news on the more positive side. So my communication therapist, I've been doing some extra work with her this year because I had an idea in my head what I wanted for the care, and it involved the communication therapist and the doctors. My communication therapist has done a health passport and what's it called? What's it called? Just some a further report for my communication therapist report, and that this is going to be about that was about an extra £75. So 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 yeah, uh, so yeah, it was going to be an extra £75, and yeah, it was going to be it's an extra £75 for this report. However, I was going to have another appointment on the 25th anyway. I was going to have another appointment on the 25th anyway. However, that appointment was cancelled, so I'm not really losing out any money. So yeah, so she's done a report and that just to try to get across to what, just to try to get across to what I want and what other people want and recommendations. So there's that, and I've got other plans. I've got other plans. I've got other plans. What I am excited about. Basically, it's basically I'm going on holiday later in the year, end of June, and I'm planning on wearing ladies' clothes all the time whilst I'm there, even during the day. So I bought a skirt, I bought some ladies' trousers, I bought a ladies' t-shirt. I don't think that I'm going to get the girls out during the day by the pool. I might not wear a bra then, but I'm going to wear the bra and get the girls out on a night. So I'm looking forward to that. I have started to transition some of my main everyday clothes to ladies as well. I bought a new four pairs of jeans today because my other jeans were a bit tatty, and I bought four pairs of jeans in the colours that were getting tatty. So later in the year, I might buy buy some more jeans in the black style or whatever, so that I've got various styles. And the jeans look really good on me. They're really soft, and yeah, they're really good. They're really soft, and it's like it's like this is going well, that's going well. I am I am, as I say, attracted to females and trans females. So, what do I believe in? So, there's a lot of conversations in the news about the Supreme Court ruling and the Supreme Court ruling and things like that. And what do I personally believe? And how do I think it's going to affect me? Right, right. I have noticed that it's targeting transgender women, even even like even if you look at the news and they're talking about transgender athletes in sports, they're always talking about transgender females in female competition and saying transgender women aren't women legally because of safe spaces for women. And I'm like, why aren't you why aren't you referring back to transgender men in sports, or or have the Supreme Court ruling that states transgender men aren't men, because transgender man is biologically female, and then if a transgender woman is biologically male, then if the men because of that, then a transgender male should be still female. So basically, there's a little bit of ups and downs there. I feel like it's targeting transgender females, and I believe that if if they're using it to describe the Equality Act or describe legalities or the legal process of transgender people, whether it's sports athletes or whether it's sports athletes or whether it's transgender females for the bathrooms and that, I feel like it's targeting transgender females rather than making it a broad picture for the transgender spectrum. They can't just focus on one minority within that spectrum, they have to target the full spectrum. Uh, Basically, another thing that I am a little concerned and that about is how will it work with gender recognition certificates anyway? Because legally, this is the truth. This is the truth. I always thought that you needed to have a gender recognition certificate to change your sex legally. And how will the new ruling affect that? Does that mean people with a gender recognition certificate will still be classed as male or female, like the biological genders? Will the gender recognition certificate be cancelled? Will that be reversed? I was a little bit surprised when I've been trying to get my driving license back because I I have been trying to get it back for 2.5 years, and then I found out that I could make my driving license gender neutral. I honestly thought that a driving license was like a passport, and it was like a passport, and it had to be legal. But I found out after my new license had been issued that I could make it gender neutral. So I'm just waiting for my new license to come. It's being it's taken longer to get the gender recognition certificate changed than when I did the application with my new doctor doing it. So even my new doctor today said she was surprised that I got it back. She wasn't expecting me to get it back within 8 days. So yeah, there's all that, and there's all that, um, and how do I feel like I'll get to that bit in a minute. Another thing is that this is what I forgot to mention and what I've been thinking about as well. Basically, women are saying that they feel uncomfortable in in the toilets and that because a transgender woman is born male and they, they still feel like they're targeted they're targeted in the toilets by that transgender lady because they believe that because they were born with male genital, sorry, that they're still attracted to females or whatever. This is the impression that I get, or they want to target females within that bathroom. Um, and a lot of transgender women like men, and I'm like, if you use that logic, if you use that logic, if you look at the fact that they feel targeted in the toilet by a transgender woman because they think transgender women are attracted to them, can does that mean they're going to start targeting lesbians in female bathrooms? Because you could say a woman could then start saying that they don't want lesbians in female male bathrooms because 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 they're attracted to women and they don't feel safe by them. So it's a little bit targeting and a little bit targeting for different previous groups or whatever. But I'm like, just will to start targeting lesbians next, because a lesbian's attracted to a woman, and that must mean that they want to target them. If you use that logic, I don't believe that logic at all. If I'm just trying to make a point. So yeah, how do I think that it's going to affect me? At the moment, I the moment I use male male bathrooms still, or I use I use male bathrooms still, or I I use male bathroom still, or I use the disability toilet. I've got an accessible key, so if I'm dressed and I've got the girls out and a little bit uncomfortable, I go in the disability toilet. Woman, I went to A&E once, and the doctor, this made me uncomfortable, so I walked out. Had to go back and re-check back in, but a doctor made me really uncomfortable because she was like, "Are you purposely holding on to your urine because you're scared of using the bathroom of your choice?" And I'm like, felt a bit intrusive, a bit invasive, but I do not. If I'm going out and there's an accessible toilet anywhere, and I've got the girls out and I'm dressed, I use the accessibility toilet or I use the men's. But generally, if I've not been to the venue before, and if I've not been to the venue before, I use the accessibility toilets to try it. But yeah, it's a little bit hit and miss, really. And there was one time at a venue that I'd used the disability toilets, and they were saying about trying the one upstairs. But another member of staff knew who I was and why I used it anyway, so they said that was fine. But yeah, women's changing rooms or whatever in New Look, they only serve they only serve in New Look, they only sell ladies' clothes, so I have used the changing rooms there, and I have honestly used changing rooms there. Primark, they've got they've got one side for any gender and one side for female. I have only been told to go into the female section in one store, and in one store I've only been taught to use the female section. I don't mind using any gender or other gender. My mum doesn't believe that I should be trying ladies' clothes on in changing rooms and that anyway. Uh, have I used the ladies' lavatory, the ladies' restroom, the ladies' powder room? Right. Only twice in my life have I used the ladies' bathroom, the ladies' lavatory. Maybe more if you class the bathrooms at A&E, but the bathrooms at A&E, single sex toilets anywhere, single occupancy toilets anywhere, and most people just use the toilets as they are anyway. It's it's like you just use them as a cubicle, really. but I'm not counting that. But have I used ladies' toilets, powder rooms, lavatories? Well, in my life, have I used ladies' lavatories and ladies' toilets? And each time they were accidental. There was one time, there was one time where I'd went into a Weatherspoons and I'd walked into the toilet and had a look. Couldn't see any urinals. Couldn't see any urinals, and couldn't see any urinals. And I'm like, I walked straight back out and realised straight away. My dad had done a similar thing a few weeks or a couple of months before that. This was whilst I was still living at my mum's, and this was whilst I was still living at, this was years ago, probably 10 or more years ago. But yeah, when was the other time that I did it? On holiday last year. I went, I did dress every night on holiday last year. I did get the girls out on night every night on holiday last year. However, during the day I was still wearing swimming shorts and a t-shirt, men's. However, what had happened was the signs on the toilets blent into the door, so you couldn't really see properly from the sign. You couldn't really see properly from the sign, and the doors were open anyway, so you couldn't see the signage properly on the door. So you couldn't really see the signage properly on the door, and you couldn't really see the signage properly on the door. And I'd seen I'd seen two ladies in the other toilet, and I'm like, went in, went in. I didn't even bat an eyelid of why there was no urinals there, just because I go into the cubicle anyway. Sometimes I do use the urinals, but I find that I'm more comfortable having a wee. And I'm like, that's not just for gender reasons or whatever. I feel like I can empty my bladder out more whilst I'm sat having a wee. So, so yeah, I'd seen two ladies in the other toilet, and I'm like, that's the ladies, and automatically that's the ladies, and I'm like, walked out, and they came out, told me off, and there were the cleaners. There were the cleaners in there. I didn't notice that there were the cleaners. All I noticed was there was two ladies in the toilet. It's the ladies. But I'd spoke to my mum on the phone. She got angry about it, and I'm like, yeah, yeah, that, yeah, you shouldn't be doing that. And I'm like, it was genuinely a complete accident. I didn't didn't mean to or do anything like that. But yeah, they've had a few bad days and arguments with my mum and that about some other stuff. But I just feel like trying to get things back on track. But one person wants this off me. 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 So I'm just feeling a bit run down and I am gonna get my energy back. I do have positive plans. Plan is to settle down a bit, go into the meeting next week with the doctor with a bit more of a positive attitude and some more positive plans. My communication therapist, Emily, you've been amazing doing that report. Emily, I need completely thank you for doing that report well in advance. There is an MDT taking place tomorrow, and you've sent it just in the nick of time. So a big, massive thank you for this. So yeah, I would like to know what's going on. I would like to know what's going on with certain things relating to my care and the journey ahead, this, and this. But yeah, I'm little bit more happier. I'm a little bit more settled. Just needing to get back into it. I just need to get back into the session. So yeah, if you want to know anything else, feel free to message me. If you've got any sponsorship deals that you'd like to do, or if you would like to get to know me a little bit more, I don't mind. I am in the process of transitioning everything over to ladies. I've got a couple of ideas of what I would like, what I wouldn't like, and genuinely a little bit more of an idea of what I want and that kind of thing. But yeah, it's gonna be hard. I've got a couple of things that I'm unsure about. I've got worries, and most of the worries about working with a mental health system again. But yeah, I just need to keep up open mind and open smile, tone things down, be a bit more stronger in myself. But yeah, I've got plans. I know in my head what I want, and it's about not letting other people's anxieties or worries take over, which has been a little bit more worrying, but yeah, I've got some ideas and I'm feeling feeling a little bit better about things. I can discreetly be a bit more feminine with ladies' jeans and ladies' t-shirts, but yeah, it's about getting back and do what I do best, which is being me, being being Damian, and not trying to let anyone else take it over. But it's going to be hard. I know that there's an MDT taking place tomorrow, but yeah, more, a little bit more of, I'm a little bit more open minded about things, and I'm a little bit more focused on getting things back on track and a little bit more settled. But yeah, my communication therapist, big massive thank you. You must have read my mind about getting this report out. I know that it was £75. I know that it was £75, but there's another meeting taking place regarding care, and your report's got more guidance, recommendations on. Give it to the solicitor as well. So yeah, that's great. Thanks. Bye.